Somewhere deep inside the middle of a grain silo, a man is trapped, sinking deeper and deeper with every movement in the corn. His cries for help echo out of the silo, and a desperate call to 911 sets everything in motion. A fire and rescue crew race to the scene, working against time, physics, and fear itself. What follows is a once-in-a-lifetime rescue, where teamwork, ingenuity, and sheer determination make the difference between life and death. Welcome to the Real ResQ Podcast, part of the Vertical Helicast family, right alongside the Hangar Z, the Helicopter Podcast, Valor Flight Crew, and Vertical MRO. Discover every show at verticalhelicast.com. Now, today's episode is brought to you by the unwavering support of Airbus, pioneering sustainable aerospace for a safe, united world. Learn more at airbus.com. Precision Aviation Group. Their precision is a key to your performance. Learn more at precisionaviationgroup.com. Switlick Survival Products. Manufacturing the highest quality safety and survival products for aviation, marine, and military markets. Learn more at switlick.com. Ready Bar. One bar equals one meal. Created for astronauts, now built for you. Get 10% off your order with the Real ResQ discount code RESQ10 at getreadybar.com. And if you want to help support this podcast even further, go to therealresqstore.com and get some killer swag. All right, let's get into this episode. Our guest today is a guy who hates cucumbers but loves pickles. He doesn't like sauce on his steaks or ribs because meat should taste like meat. And he admits he loves a good pair of gloves. So much so that he can hardly walk past a glove rack without trying a couple pair on. He's a fireman, a search and rescue team member, a father, a husband, and an auto mechanic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Nate Christensen. My name is Jason Quinn. I am United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer number 500. These are my rescues and rescues from those of us that put our lives on the line every day so others may live. This is the Real ResQ Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real ResQ Podcast. Man, I got somebody here from Utah. I don't know if I've ever had anybody here from Utah, just so you know, Nate. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nate Christensen. What's up, dude?
Hey, how are you? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hey, I thank you so much for joining me. So, Nate, you are the captain of the Tremonton Fire Department, and you are also the captain or first captain of the Box Elder County Search and Rescue Team, right?
Yes. Yep. I'm a captain on each department.
Man, that's awesome. And you have another job.
Yeah, my full-time job, I own and operate an auto repair shop here in Tremonton.
That's freaking cool. So you do search and rescue, you fight fires, and then you work on the cars. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, and then I'm a part-time emergency manager for Tremonton City, and then in there I try and be a husband and a dad and a grandpa and go to church once in a while and, yeah, try and make time for all of it.
Dang, man. You want to come travel and hang out with me out here in the desert for a little while too? What do you do for fun? Or is that all your fun?
You know, for the most part it is. We like to go camping. That's probably our biggest fun. We try and at least do a week-long camp once a year that our family goes. We pick a destination and some fun things to do around that area, and we'll go and pitch our tents and just try and enjoy Mother Nature and each other's company and stuff. I really enjoy rescue. I really enjoy search and rescue. So I don't know. It's not as much of a job to me as it is, something I enjoy. So it is my fun as well. It definitely, it recharges my give a shit, I guess, to go and run a couple of calls, and it resets me. It really does.
That's cool. How long have you been doing this?
Search and rescue, I've been doing it for 27 years now, and then I've been on the fire department for about 13 years.
Dang. Dude, that's fantastic. That's a long time. God, you sound like you're doing it as long as I have. Actually, you might even have me beat. I started in 2000. So yeah, you totally have me beat right now. That's
January of
fantastic.
'98. January of '98 is when I joined the search and rescue.
Wow. Holy smoke. And then later on, so fire department stuff. So actually, you know what? I'm going to bring this right in because I think this is amazing. Is I talk about training on this podcast all the time and how important this training, like everything about it. Because when the real life hits, you don't want to be learning when you're out there. You want to learn and make your mistakes during training. One of the great parts about like our conversation and some of the stuff that you sent me was that you guys actually did a drill where you had let me just read this. This is in the Bear River Valley News, and it literally says, news, this is just a drill. Tremonton on April 16th, 2020. The Tremonton Fire Department led a training exercise on Thursday, April 16th for firefighters and put a show on for the local residents. 3 homes on Main Street in Tremonton, just west of the Tremonton Center, used to be a training tool for the department for several days leading up to a controlled burn. Tremonton City owns the homes and property, and future development in the area made it necessary to remove the homes. So you guys went in and burned a bunch of houses down.
Yeah, it was really a pretty cool situation because the city owned the 3 houses and we're in no hurry to do anything with them. And we were teaching, our department was hosting a Fire 1, Fire 2 class at the time. So we spent several weeks actually in these houses doing drills from, breaching and breaking to lost firefighters to down firefighters. We smoked them with our smoke machine, basically used them up as much as we could. And then that was our grand finale, is we burned them all to the ground. So it was a good time. It's harder than you think to burn a house down. It really is. You'd be surprised. Most people, you look at the movies and they throw a road flare in or whatever, and it just starts on fire. But it takes a lot to get in and keep all the heat in to really get it cooking.
How long? Man, I don't even know where to start to question this. Like, first of all, I love the fact that you guys are able to do that. And the city allowed you guys to go in there and do the training. I think that's what a great use of an area that needs to be developed or needs to be changed. Like it's a double-edged win. Like you're getting rid of what's there and replacing it with something new, and you're getting a ton of training for the local fire department at the same time. That's amazing. Whose idea was that?
Yeah, it was really good. It was a huge resource to us. I mean, you don't get that kind of opportunity all the time, especially, there's training towers and that kind of thing. At the time, we've lost our training tower since, but at the time we had a training tower. But to be able to train on an actual house that would, just like what you would be fighting a fire in real life, to be able to poke holes in the roof and, all that kind of stuff. And, new layouts, each house had a different room layout and stuff. And, compared to our training tower that, once you kind of figure out the layout, you just know it. And great opportunity.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. It's like, it's so, you're making realistic, like real training. But it's a controlled training. I love it. I absolutely love it. How long did they burn for?
Into the night. They were several hours. It takes quite a while for them to burn down, and then somebody's got to babysit them for the rest of the night to keep a sprinkler on them and stuff. Just make sure that they don't flare up if the wind comes up.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were teaching a Fire 1, Fire 2 class, and so not only did our department get a benefit from it, but that class was made up of people from all over the county. And, so almost every department to some degree got a benefit from being able to train in those houses.
Man, right on. Good on you guys. What an epic training experience. Gosh, I wish I had part of that.
It's a good way to learn just how claustrophobic some people are. If you smoke the house out, put them in their SCBA and get them lost in there. We had a couple that had to be helped out, because they just couldn't manage.
Wow. Yeah, you learn pretty quick. I feel like that as a swimmer, like you learn pretty quick how like to breathe underwater or not breathe underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. All right, Nate. So how did you get into it? What's a little background about you? Where'd you grow up and how and why did you get into search and rescue and then fire?
Well, I don't know. Growing up, going through school and that kind of stuff, I was just always that I really enjoyed like the off-road outdoors kind of aspect of the area that we lived in. I grew up down in Delta, Utah, kind of south central Utah. I was too young to join when I lived down there, but I knew a couple of guys that were on the search and rescue team down there, and heard some stories and stuff, and thought that was pretty neat. And so it would have been 4th of July, 1996. I moved to Tremonton. Kind of lost. I left all my friends, everything I knew down in Delta, and late '97 there was a help wanted ad in the newspaper, looking for volunteers for the county search and rescue team. So I applied. They interviewed me. I found out later that I just about didn't get the job, but I actually have 2 artificial legs. I was born that way.
What?
Yeah,
For
so
real?
I was born. Yeah, I would, and I wish I don't have a traumatic story or anything to go with them, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah,
We could
I
make
was
one.
born.
Shark attack, like
I used to tell
buffalo.
people stuff like that. Yeah, when I was a kid, people used to ask me all the time, what happened to me, and I'd tell them I got hit by a train or fell off a motorcycle. I always had something. But
Train. I'm sorry, Nate. I don't mean to laugh at that. That's fantastic. What a great story.
so, like I said, so it would be my mother's cousin. It was on the sheriff's department, and so I applied. My mother's cousin was on the sheriff's department, and they were not going to hire me because of my legs. They were concerned that I wouldn't be able to do the job, and he vouched for me. And I just jumped in it and put my heart and soul into it. And 27 years later, still doing it.
Oh my gosh. Nate, that makes it even better. Like the heart and dedication to get through everything that you had to go through to get to the point you're at this far. Hell yeah. Man, I don't want anybody to give me any excuses ever again. Are you kidding me? You're like a motivation poster right now, bro.
Yeah, and I don't look at myself that way, but I do, especially when we respond to houses with the ambulance, the fire department. I see people that are kind of in a similar situation that can't even get themselves up off the floor, and I think, come on, man, you have more leg than I do. Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? And so that's kind of frustrating for me. But just fire department wise, I mean, kind of the thing that got me interested in that is I wanted to do more patient care. With the search and rescue, it seems like our patients are either really good or they're really not good. We don't do a lot of care. And that's something that I wanted to expand those skills. And so that's when I started looking into becoming an EMT. One of the guys on our team was already on the Tremonton Fire Department and helped me get an interview and stuff. And that's how I got on there. So I really dig the rescue side. The fire is okay. I really dig the rescue side and the medical side. Well, it's the funnest for me.
Right on. Nate, I'm blown away by already what you're saying. We are like 15 minutes into this, and I'm already like, holy cow, this is awesome. All right, Joe, I'm gonna throw a shout out. You might not want to call yourself the guy that's on the poster, but I can. Okay, so you're my poster boy at this moment in time, and after 27 years, you've earned yourself quite a few awards, and I'm just gonna name a couple right now. But in 2009, you earned yourself a Citizen Award, the Citizen Award. Box Elder County Sheriff's Office Citizen of the Year, presented to Nate Christensen, Box Elder County Search and Rescue Commander, May 14th, 2009. Congratulations on that one. Heck yeah. And then right after that, you earned yourself or awarded in 2023, 25 years in service. Box Elder County Search and Rescue, Nathan Christensen, lifetime member, in recognition of 25 years of service as a member of the Box Elder County Search and Rescue Team. Heck yeah. And then to top it all off, you earned yourself a 2024 Impact Award. And the Impact Award, you have consistently demonstrated your willingness to go the extra mile and support Box Elder County Search and Rescue. Nate, dude, that's freaking awesome, man. Well done. Good job on you. All right.
Thank you.
I'll actually, you know what? I'll say this too, because you said it offline, but I'm going to bring it up now because you said it. It takes a team, and it's a full team effort to do everything that we do in search and rescue. And I have no illusion about that. So anything I've ever been on, I am not alone. I've got pilots, I've got flight mechanics, I've got hoist operators, I've got whatever you want to call them in the back. I've got paramedics. If I'm out in the mountain, there are other people around that are there to help, and it's solid. So I agree with you with that. So if you want to like dive into that more, you're more than welcome to. But I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. Just like you said, I mean, even all these awards and stuff, I couldn't have gotten those. I couldn't have done what I've done without my team backing me up. From the guys in the command post to the ground pounders that are actually doing the ground search to logistics and operations and everything in between. It takes every one of us to make these successful.
Yeah. Oh man, totally, man. That's awesome. All right, so 27 years of being in search and rescue. Do you remember your first rescue, or do you have your first memorable rescue that stands out to you?
I don't remember my very first rescue, but one of my very first rescues was actually the very last day of my honeymoon. We came back from our
hold on, the last day of your honeymoon? That's hilarious.
Yeah,
And she stayed married to you?
Search and rescue's been a lifestyle, and my wife has known that from day one. She's really made a lot of sacrifices too, just being gone and that kind of stuff. But
right on.
But yeah, so very last day of our honeymoon, we got dispatched. This was back when we even carried radio pagers still, but we got dispatched out for a plane crash, and so we went out and spent a couple of days searching the shores of the Great Salt Lake and stuff for this plane. But she was less than impressed. This was back when Kmart's were even still in Utah.
Wow.
We were standing in line at the Kmart. We just I think that's where we had registered for our wedding registry. And so we had a cart full of stuff, and my pager goes off while we're standing in line and for a plane crash. And yeah, so she was less than impressed that I had her drop me off at the sheriff's department and grab my pack and stuff out of the truck. And she took the truck, and I jumped in with somebody else. And so we spent the next couple of days looking for an airplane, and ended up finding it. Luckily, one of the DPS helicopters was able to spot it. It was one of those, he was pretty low and was doing some stunts and stuff, and so he was kind of in and out of radar. And so the last known radar was a ways off. We checked all that area the night before, and the next day we had one of our DPS helicopters that just happened to just spot his radio antenna sticking just above the surface of the water. He was on the other side of the mountain range from where the last radar was, and gone down in the Great Salt Lake. And so we were able to recover the plane and the body and stuff.
So not a totally good one to get to, but I still think it's kind of funny that it was on the last day of your honeymoon. I'm sorry for your wife, and I'm glad she's still with you.
I am too. She's a trooper, because that was the first of many times that I've left her at my folks' house during birthday parties. I'm very lucky that she tolerates me.
I feel the same way about my wife too, man. It's good having a good woman. Like when it's our backbone. I got it. Yeah.
I honestly, I couldn't do anything what I do without her, without knowing that home is taken care of.
Yeah.
We can go out, we can do what we need to do in the field, and that's one less thing that we've got to worry about is what's going on at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Anytime I would travel, anytime I would go to work, Mel had my back at home, and I never had to worry about it. It's kind of funny, like little side stories, like one of those things where stuff breaks when we're home, and we just fix it. And they might not know about it, but then we leave for a couple of days, and the whole house breaks. You're like, nah, it always happens when you leave. Well, no, you just don't know it when I'm there because I fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's funny. Right on. So I'll tell you what, man. There are a couple other rescues that like in the list of ones that you've been through in your career. A couple of them stood out to me, and I was like, "Holy cow!" So if you don't mind, I'd love to touch on a couple of them. And one of them, let's start with this one. It's in 2019. You got called out with the fire department to a gentleman stuck in a silo. Like stuck in grain? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we have, with being an agriculture community, we do have quite a few silos and stuff around. And one of the hazards with those is as the grain settles, as the grain dries and stuff, it will build up a crust. Corn can do this too. And so it builds up a crust, and then as they auger it out, the crust won't break, and so the grain or the corn or whatever won't fall into the auger. And so it's not safe to do, but people will walk out on that and try and break the crust up. And that's what this gentleman had done. He'd walked out there and the crust gave way, and it gave way far enough that he was trapped. And that was basically our dispatch information, was that a male patient was trapped in a grain bin silo and couldn't get out. So as we're responding, this is back before we had people staffed to the station. So see the call notes on my phone, and I threw out there on our crew app, hey, we probably ought to bring the ladder truck for a high anchor. I'd kind of run through this scenario in my head a few times of, what we would do. And so we respond, ambulance, our rescue truck, and then our ladder truck went as well, and found him in the silo. And the silo was probably, I would say probably at least 3/4 the way full still. It was quite full. And he was up to his chest. His arms were just on the top of the grain by the time we got there. So we set up a ladder truck.
Like sinking in the grain? Is that a thing?
It is actually. You can sink, and it's like quicksand. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and usually, just like the quicksand in the cartoons when we were kids, like the more you struggle, the worse it gets. If you can just hold still, and even if you can try to almost float on your back or something, lay down and make yourself big, it's not as bad. But as you struggle, you do truly sink. So in his situation, he was, like I said, he was trying to break that crust up so that it would fall in and auger out. And when it collapsed, he just fell in with it. Somebody that was there with him luckily got the auger shut off. They were able to hear him screaming inside and got the auger shut off. Otherwise, it would have just kept augering him down into the center and would have buried him and suffocated him. So they threw him a tow strap. So he was holding on to that tow strap. We set our ladder truck up and positioned the bucket right above the center of the silo, and the I don't know, it's 2.5 feet, 3 feet or something. There's a lid that comes off the center. And so we just anchored off the inside of the ladder truck, and I rappelled down through that center opening, was able to lower myself down to him and just laid down next to him so I wouldn't sink in as well. By that time, the ambulance had pushed a couple of backboards in so we could sit on those backboards and use that to keep from sinking into the grain. I was able to, I came down, so pre-planning, I came down with a 3-to-1 that I'd hooked up in the ladder as well, or 4-to-1, excuse me, some mechanical advantage. And so I rappelled down to him. I used a piece of web and was able to make a harness around his chest. Did a quick assessment. He was able to talk to me. He wasn't having any difficulty breathing or anything like that. And so I was able to, with that harness, hooked it to our mechanical advantage and put a little pressure on him. And he was able to wiggle and squirm while I kept putting a little bit more pressure on him. And he finally just worked his way up and popped out, and he was able to walk over to one of the side exit doors. And then I ascended up the rope back out through the center hatch.
Right now,
really, honestly, a rescue of a career. Honestly, it was pretty cool. I was kind of bummed the battery in my helmet cam had gone dead, and so I wasn't able to record any of it. But yeah,
but there are some pretty badass pictures though, like the bucket truck sitting over the top of the silo and all the ropes kind of going in. The dude, like I think it's him crawling out after. Yeah, is that him?
I believe that is in one of the pictures. Yeah. Yeah, it took. It was quite a while. I had grain in my shoes. I had grain in my pockets on my turnouts. There was little tiny grain pieces everywhere. It was a mess. Happy ending, really happy ending, because it, as deep as he was, it winds up crushing them. They won't suffocate it. It's the compression asphyxia. They can't expand their chest to take a breath, and right. Luckily he wasn't quite so deep that he was having that happen to him. But if they hadn't heard him and shut the auger off, or if he'd have been there by himself, I think it would have been a totally different story and totally different outcome.
Wow, what a trip, Nate! Holy cow! I didn't even know you had to do stuff like that. That's wild. Wow,
it doesn't happen very often around here. They make kits that you can put around people. We don't have any of that kind of stuff, but yeah, like I said, it was definitely a rescue of a career. I was glad to be a part of that. That's pretty neat.
Heck yeah, pretty neat. Listen to you. Dude, that's freaking incredible. Wow. Nice job, man. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Switlick. No mission is the same. Why should your suit be? Introducing a new custom dry suit experience. Choose your fabric, colors, neck and wrist seals, zippers, pockets, collars, and so much more. Intelligent measuring prompts ensure the most tailored fit. Brought to you by Switlick Survival Products. For more information, visit us at www.switlick.com.
And Ready Bar. Originally made for astronauts, now designed for first responders and built for you. This high-performance meal bar provides complete nutrition without the sugar crash. A must-have for any helmet bag, swimmer bag, or everyday pack. Get yours today at getreadybar.com and use the promo code RESQ10 for 10% off. Ready Bar. Zero crash. All fuel. Right on. So there's actually another one, which you have a video of. There was an accident out on the highway with like a bus. So I'm going to play the video right now.
You're watching KSL News at 6.
We kind of spun out. We fishtailed and just lost control of the bus.
More than 20 people are recovering from injuries tonight after a bus rolled near Tremonton.
Yeah, there were more than 30 people on that express bus to Salt Lake City, several of them able to walk away without any injuries.
News specialist Mike Anderson talked with one of those passengers and with first responders about the crash.
Firefighters say they're somewhat lucky that this happened early before many volunteer firefighters would have had to have been at work. The several departments coordinated efforts to get 8 ambulances there and a school bus to help.
It's not the ideal trip home.
And it wasn't even like an hour later when we crashed.
Alex Reyes says he had just switched buses at Snowville before this happened. He blames the weather, not so much the driver.
We hit a turn. He overcorrected, and we spun out, kind of did a 360 on the whole bus, and then we hit the edge of the road and flipped.
Tremonton Fire coordinated getting help out here.
Without many patients, lucky for us, it was that early in the morning, so most people were still home. They hadn't left to work yet.
Captain Nate Christensen says something this big can be tough with volunteer departments, but everything worked out. Even the Box Elder School District pitching in, getting a school bus to transport the passengers who were not hurt.
I wasn't sure that was going to happen, honestly. We just asked dispatch if they could get us a bus. I couldn't think of any other way to get that many people transported.
19 injured patients were taken to Bear River Valley Hospital.
There's a lot for any emergency department, but our folks trained for this and they responded well.
Chris Dallin with Intermountain Healthcare says the timing helped them too.
Happened to be a round shift change, so we got both shifts at the same time and were able to offer the care that was needed.
Ultimately, 7 with more serious injuries were sent off to hospitals around the Salt Lake Valley.
I mean, I'm still in shock. It's just a crazy story, crazy situation.
Reyes is grateful he and others like him got out safe, hopeful that everyone else will make a quick recovery.
Just thank God I'm alive and healthy.
And the Utah Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. 2 of the passengers had critical injuries, and the passengers who were not injured were taken to Garland, where they were later given the option to get onto another bus to continue their journey. Mike Anderson, KSL 5 News.
Holy cow, Nate. What? Yeah, if you don't mind, just run us through that. Jeez.
Yeah, so it was December of 2022, I believe. We had a pretty bad storm that night, and this would have been, I believe the accident happened like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was the duty chief for the fire department, and so we got the call out for a mass casualty incident. So I had the chief's trucks at my house, so I just responded directly to the scene, and we had probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of fresh snow. And it had come deep enough and was fast enough that the plows were having a hard time keeping up with it.
Wow.
My ambulance had gotten there and had reported a tour bus on its side, mass casualty-ish situation. So I rolled up on scene, and I actually I tried to hit the turn around the road. It was so slick, I ended up sliding the chief's truck sideways through the median as I was trying to get spun around. That was the whole time I was saying, please don't crash the chief's truck. Please don't crash the chief's truck. Got spun around and got behind him. And that's what we found is that we had a tour bus on its side. And there was people everywhere. I can't remember the exact number of patients that we had. But there were a couple that we thought were trapped. We ended up calling another department for some extrication assistance because our resources were tapped. We had it took a little bit to get everything rolling. Tremonton's got 5 ambulances. I believe we had at least 4, if not possibly all 5 of our ambulances out. And we had ambulances from several other departments. One of the trooper supervisors, the highway patrol supervisors, actually made a comment that he'd never seen that many ambulances in his whole life, but got them all there. So on the way to, talking to our dispatcher, I asked him for a school bus to see if they get hold of somebody with the school district to get a bus out there. And they advised me, well, it's not a school bus. I'm like, I know it's not a school bus, but I'm thinking we have school buses available though. We need something that we can put a lot of people in to get them off the freeway.
Yeah.
So we get out there and we started unfortunately, due to the volume of patients and the limited resources that we had, we had to put 2 and 3 people in an ambulance, put a red tag in with a couple of green tags, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But we're able to get them all off the freeway. We put all the green tags in the school bus. We were able to get a local armory opened up, where the ones that we had originally triaged as green tags, some of them ended up needing to go to the hospital later to be evaluated. But what we originally thought were green tags, we took all those to our local armory, and they were able to be there and be warm. And the armory is actually attached to another department's fire station, so we're actually able to have some of their first responders there to keep an eye on them and do some further evaluations once we got them out of the snow and off the road. Had several pretty significant injuries because of the weather. There was no helicopters available at all.
And unfortunately, you got to be driving slow on the road just based on snow. And,
exactly. We were so lucky that there was not another EMS call going on in our entire county. So I was able to get all the resources that I needed for that. Once we got everybody situated off the highway, then I went from there to the hospital and helped facilitate the transfers out from the hospital. Our hospital's pretty small, doesn't have a lot of staff. Their capabilities are limited because of that, and so they immediately wanted to start transferring patients out to other hospitals. Facilitated that, helped them with that, and it was a pretty incredible experience. We were lucky nobody there were no casualties at all in that. Serious injuries, no casualties.
Which is another amazing side and thought about this. Like you have a huge accident like that, a full bus that goes over, and there's no casualties. Like I get it, some people get like badly injured, but the fact that nobody passed, that's incredible in itself. Yeah.
What really hard as far as being the duty chief, being the incident commander in that situation is, as responders, we want to help, and so I had to leave the truck for a couple of things. I needed to go make contact with who I was replacing, who had originally assumed command, and so to walk through a field of people hurt, people with one lady that I remember had an obvious broken femur and that kind of stuff, and I didn't stop and help anybody, and that was a strange situation to be in, to have to run it rather than help anybody.
So I've never personally been in that big of a situation, but I can totally understand what you're saying, because my first thought would be, I want to help her, or I want to help him, her, them, and get him and put traction on the leg, stop the bleeding. But you can't. You have to, your job is select and direct.
Yeah, and just really have to have ultimate faith in your people too, that they've triaged them well, and it was an interesting spot to be in. I'd never really experienced that to that extent. I've incident commandered other incidents, but never anything that big, never anything that significant.
That is awesome. Well, I had no doubt you were trusting your people after you burned down like 3 houses in like one area. Your training is insane. People are good. Wow, man. Hey, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. You know what? Props to you. A couple of other things too is getting the school bus. Great idea. Man, that's like replace a bus with a bus and just get the non-injured people off the highway and out of the elements. That's a great idea.
Thanks. We actually had once a lot of the people were getting cleared from the hospital, they tried to put them on another bus to take them to the armory where everybody else was waiting. And as you can imagine, a lot of them were fairly apprehensive about getting back on another bus, but it was their only choice. So they took the bus ride.
Yeah. No choice. Man, that's crazy. Right on. Nate, thank you so much for sharing that. That's well done to you and the entire county and everybody that responded. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, like I said before, I mean, it was our saving grace that even with such a big storm that come in, there was not a single other EMS call, because we had to get ambulances from, I think we had at least 3 other agencies there, and really drained the county resources to take care of it. But there's nothing else going on.
Well, I'm going to bring us into another one because this is really cool. You earned yourself an Incident of the Year award, and I'm going to read this, and then I'm looking forward to hearing the backstory of what really happened. 2023 Tremonton Fire Department EMS Incident of the Year. In recognition for your extraordinary response, unwavering dedication, and exceptional professionalism in handling the event on the morning of 30 September 2023, you have demonstrated unparalleled heroism and selflessness coupled with the highest standards of excellence in the field of emergency medical services. Your heroic efforts and life-saving measures resulted in a profound impact on lives of families and friends of one specific individual that day. In the early mornings of 30 September 2023, Cynthia Bagley was traveling on Highway 102 near Thatcher, Utah, when her vehicle left the road and rolled into a canal. Cynthia was trapped in her seat under the water for an unknown period of time. Through the efforts of an off-duty Tremonton firefighter, the on-duty crew that day, law enforcement, and a neighboring agency, Cynthia was pulled from her submerged vehicle, resuscitated on the bank of the canal, and transported to Bear River Valley Hospital, where she was later flown for a higher level of care. Since that time, Cynthia has fully recovered from her injuries that were sustained on that day and has returned home, where she continues to spend her time with her family and friends. Your outstanding performance, decisive action, and exemplary teamwork in the face of adversity undoubtedly saved a precious life that day and stands as a testament to your unwavering dedication to public service. In acknowledgement of these heroic efforts and life-saving measures, we honor and express our deepest gratitude to you, whose actions embody the true essence of valor. Given on this day, 2 December 2023, as a token of our appreciation and respect for your commitment to the emergency medical services field, we present you with the 2023 Tremonton Fire Department EMS Incident of the Year. Oh my gosh. Nate, that's awesome. Wow. Okay. Off-duty EMS fire. A lot of law enforcement, fire department. Cynthia goes off the road, into the water, underwater. You guys get the call.
Yeah, so we were dispatched for truck in the canal. If I remember right, at the time of dispatch, they weren't sure if there was occupants in it or not. I was assigned to the ambulance that day, so me and once again, everything's a team effort. Me and my partner responded to the ambulance. Our rescue truck was responding behind us. And then in this situation, there's a fire department in the town called Thatcher that's just a first responder. So they were responding as well. As we're responding in the ambulance, we're talking, we're getting more information. We're finding out that there actually is somebody in the truck. Law enforcement's got on scene. They broke a window. So we're emptying our pockets. We're thinking we're going swimming. So we're getting our phones out of our pockets, taking our pagers off, all that kind of stuff to make sure nothing gets ruined. We get on scene, and what we found is that she had kind of gone off the left side of the bridge. So she went off, hit the other side, and then the truck fell driver's side in the water into the canal lengthwise. So she was wearing her seatbelt and she was submerged under the water. So between when we got there was a trooper that was standing on the car, and I believe he had broken the passenger window. One of the firefighters from the Thatcher Fire Department was there with him, and then one of our guys, he actually was on his way to. He's a full-time firefighter at another company, and he was on his way to that job and he happened to just be driving past, and was able to jump in the water and help. He was actually the one that went in the car. Was able to get down and get the seatbelt cut. This canal is probably, I don't know, 6-8 feet deep. And so she was well underwater, and he was having to come up, take a breath, dive back down to try and work on her. So he was able to get the seatbelt cut and got her up. Between the couple of them that were on the car, they were able to get her up onto the car and then into the water onto the shore. We were waiting on the bank. Immediately started doing chest compressions. By that time, our rescue truck had gotten there, so they grabbed the cot out of the ambulance and brought it over. We got her on the cot, put her in the ambulance, still doing chest compressions on her. Got her stripped to where we could do a good assessment. Got her dried off, put the fast patches on, and she had a rhythm. So perfect. She's still not breathing on her own, but she had a rhythm. So we're done with chest compressions at that point. So we put an airway in. We breathe for her. IO, start some meds, start warming her up, all that kind of stuff, get her to the hospital, where they were able to continue care. And then we called for a helicopter and got her flown to a bigger trauma center. But pretty incredible. She came by the fire station to thank everybody that was involved. She's made 100% recovery, no deficit from being underwater or anything. So she had, I believe she got pneumonia. She did have to spend several weeks, if not a couple of months in the hospital, if I remember right. She got pneumonia and stuff from the water that was in her lungs. But yeah, she's recovered 100%. It's a miracle. It's my only CPR, my long-term CPR save. I've had a couple that we've been able to get RosQ with, but unfortunately, none of them have ever stayed like her. So, pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. And you have no idea how long she was underwater, do you?
She had been called in. I believe they determined she was having a medical episode. She had been called in as a reckless driver, and so there was somebody following her that had called her in as a reckless driver, and so they watched it happen. So we did have a time frame of when it went in the truck, or it went in the canal, excuse me. And by the time we got there, I mean, she was probably underwater for probably a solid 10 to maybe 12 or even 15 minutes that she was underwater. Because we were just drive time, not waking up, getting dressed, getting to the rig time, just drive time. I mean, we were probably 7 to 8 minutes away.
Holy mackerel. 10 to 15 minutes underwater with a full recovery from you guys going in and getting her out. What? My own assessment going on through my head. Water temperature. Because you did say you had to warm her up, so was it super cold out? I know it said the ward said September, but I don't know what the water temperature is like normally out in Utah. So
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been freezing cold, but it would have been cold. It would have been cold enough to very easily get hypothermia. I would guess, probably 50 degrees, probably 50, 55 degrees water temp at that time of year.
That's cold. That's chilly. Like that's like cold plunge. Like I enjoy a cold plunge in about 5 minutes. I'm done. All right, it's a little colder than that, but yeah, that there were a lot of studies done while I was in the Coast Guard up in Alaska where we were talking about going into cold water drownings, and that the body would last longer because you end up in that cold hypothermic state, and your body it's not using as much oxygen. So that's why I asked that question. The fact that she was in there for up to 15 minutes with a full recovery, unreal. That's amazing. That's good on you guys too. Great chest compressions, solid. And an IO, you drilling right in to give her some fluids. Fantastic.
Yeah, and the water temperature very well could have helped with her outcome for sure.
Man. I'm so happy that she came by the fire station after to say thanks. That's your award. Congratulations to you and the crew and everybody involved in that. But having her come back to say thanks is just like, man, that just means a lot to me. So I think that's great. Well done, Nate. It's good stuff.
It was incredible, and it was neat to meet her. As you can imagine, she looked completely different being alive than the last time I saw her, when she, was apneic and wasn't breathing on her own. But yeah, and so many, and I don't know, we help so many people, and not that we do this for thanks by any means.
Nope.
But especially like in search and rescue stuff, a lot of times people are pretty embarrassed because we've had to come out and find them because they got lost, or they're manly men that should have never had to need help, and they do, and so they're embarrassed. They just leave. They don't want anybody to know what happened, and so to get a thank you is neat. It's really cool. It makes you, it's glad to be appreciated by somebody.
Yeah,
reminds you of why you do it all.
That's it. It's a reminder of why we actually do it. So the occasion when it comes through, you're like, oh yeah, man, people do love us.
Yeah, doing that's something cool for somebody that they could never repay you for is incredible.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Oh, dude, thank you for sharing that one. That's awesome. It's awesome. And like Cynthia, she's alive, she's well, 100% recovered. That is a testament to not only like you but also all the way to the doctors and the entire hospital staff. Because I know she was on major antibiotics to try to fight all the infections, and wow, awesome. We're going to divert real quick to thank our sponsors.
Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
And
Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory, globally 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
So the other one that I want to talk about here is actually pretty interesting. Another, I'm going to call it a good outcome as well, because this kid was out snowmobiling. He was 14 years old, and he ended up getting lost and separated. So I want you to start us in and what the call was to you guys. And then I want to come back into some of the posts that were posted online by the family to help get the word out that he was missing. So what was the call?
Okay. So just to start out with this, our team had a minimal amount of involvement in it. I want to make sure that everybody knows that there were teams that had searched all day and all night long before we got involved in this. So our role was tiny, but it was neat for me. So a young man had been out sledding with his dad and some friends on would have been a Saturday morning. They got separated. The dad and the friends looked for quite a while. It's an area that there is no cell service, so somebody had to leave to get service, as they continued to search. So they got the 2 local SAR teams up there and involved. They searched all day. They called us that night to come in the next morning. There was another search and rescue team that's local to us as well that decided to go up that night rather than waiting for the morning. So they searched all night as well. So they brought us in Saturday morning, being fresh, fresh set of eyes. So we just had a couple of tracked side-by-sides that we're going to come up on. We decided we were going to go to the last known point for where this kid was at and see if we could pick up any clues from there. And so just cruising in, if you've ever been on a tracked side-by-side, they're pretty slow go. So we're just cruising along the trail, having a good time, and we get this sled rider that's coming towards us pretty quick, stops and waves us down, and we stop and talk to him. And he's like, "Hey, I think we found him. We found him over here." He was riding out to the command post to get help because no cell service. So we followed him up to a road junction where the rest of his group was bringing the kid out. They lifted him off the back of the sled. He was in good spirits. I talked to him for a second, did a quick assessment on him, and called into the command post on the radio to let him know that he'd been found as we were following this snowmobiler up, and then confirmed it when we did get eyes on him and had him in our side by side. And so as we're coming down, traffic from the command post is, I need to confirm. So do we have a search and rescue team that has the individual? And I answered on the radio. I said, yes, this is Charlie 709, Box Elder Search and Rescue. We have the individual in our side by side. He's doing really well, and brought him down to a big reunion, as you can imagine, in the parking lot.
Oh yeah,
family, rescuers and stuff, and he got treated there. He was fine. They took him to the hospital as precaution, but it was record cold that night. I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was in that area. It was like 30 below zero that night. It was wicked cold. That morning before we set out, I'm pretty good friends with a couple of guys on one of the other teams, and ran into him, and he said, Nate, I've never been so cold as I was last night. There wasn't a lot of hope for the kid, unfortunately. It was so cold that they were, not that they were going to tell the family that, but everybody was kind of assuming the worst. He didn't have, he had his coat and his snow pants and stuff on, but he didn't have a backpack or anything like that on. And crazy. Pretty neat. We also do every year, we meet in the same area and do like a winter training seminar, to where each team that comes teaches a class, and we just do a round robin. Everybody goes between all the different classes, and this kid and his family were able to come, and the two local teams got him a couple of backpacks full of stuff. So he had survival gear, he had a walkie-talkie, stuff to make a fire, stuff to make shelter, all that kind of stuff. He was set after that. So that was pretty neat.
It'll never happen to him again.
Yeah, seriously.
Did he tell you how he survived the night while he was in the truck with you guys going back?
Yeah, he pulled his arms in out of his sleeves, so they were in around his body, and just laid on the ground and just moved around once in a while. I checked his fingers and everything, and there was no signs of frostbite. He could feel everything. He was good. It was honestly a miracle. Like I said, it was record cold that night. People were not thinking that was going to end very well for him, because it was so cold, and he was not terribly prepared.
Wow. I was waiting for you to tell me like he built like a snow fort or something like that and climbed in.
Well, that's kind of what we thought too, but no, he just hung out. Once he got into a spot that he didn't have the skills to get out of. It was too steep, and so he just left the sled and started walking. He said that there were times that he could hear other snowmobiles around him, but never could get anybody's attention. And so he just found a clearing and spent the night.
What a lucky kid, man. I am going to read a couple of the posts here, because it was really, they're kind of cool. Like the first one is from Mandy, which I believe is his mom. And it was, please pray for my Mason's rescue. He has been missing for 12 hours in Franklin County mountains. He's only 14 and alone now, please. And then later on, he is lost somewhere in the mountain. I don't know high or low. I don't know if he's hurt. All I know is they've started at Franklin. Search and rescue is still searching. Thank you all so much. You don't know how much it means to our family. And then later on, there's an update. She posts, please share. There are really no words to express the gratitude in our hearts from the many people who in any way took part of the blessing to find our son Mason. The outreach of family, friends, and the community went far beyond anything we could have ever imagined. The search and rescue of Franklin, Cash, Rich, Weber, Box Elder, and everyone else, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for sticking with the task of finding him and giving hope to the distraught father and helpless mother. We have so much gratitude in our hearts for you all. There have been countless blessings and miracles happen. Thank you. We will never forget. And it went even further than that. I mean, there's an amazing post by the Box Elder Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue team. Like, glad our team was able to assist. The Franklin County, Idaho Sheriff's Office, they posted a big blurb that he was found. This made it to the news, ABC4. New details have been released on the 14-year-old boy who was found after going missing on Sunday. I mean, you guys made a couple headlines with this one. This is awesome. And thank you for shouting out everybody else and giving credit to where credit is due. You said it earlier. It's more than just one. It's a team effort. But that's a lot of counties, a lot of people that were involved in saving this. That's awesome.
And those guys really are the ones that put the work in. We just happened to be in the right spot at the right time. We left the command post at the right time. We met that snowmobile at the right time. Everything really just fell into place. So it's great. It was nice to put him in, he'd been cold all night. The side-by-side that we were in was cabbed with a heater. So we were able to start warming him up. It was better than a couple mile sled ride back out. So.
I'm trying to think of me at like 14 years old. I'd probably be sitting in the back like, oh man, mom and dad are going to be so mad at me.
Well, that's, we talked about this and, as adults, as our rescue teams and stuff, we're like, I'd have burnt that sled to the ground. Like there would have been no doubt they'd have seen me from the space station. Like I'd have made a mess out of that thing. I'd have set it on fire out of whatever, I would not have spent the night up there by myself.
Yeah. But he's like, no, I'm going to make sure the key's off and in my pocket so nobody can steal it out there. I'm going to walk out.
Yeah.
Man, good for him.
It was neat. It was way neat to be a part of that. So, I mean, what a brotherhood that search and rescue is. So many people from so many counties, from so many teams that came together on that. The Weber County Search and Rescue, they had been out on a training exercise or possibly even a mission all day Saturday when Cache County called them up and wanted them to come out Sunday morning as well with us. And they're like, no, we'll just come right now. And so that team searched all night, Saturday night.
Wow. Man, the amount of ground that would have been covered too between all the teams, that's incredible. Dude, I love this stuff so much. Nate, I just get engrossed with it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing these stories with me. This has been awesome. I'm pumped.
Been my pleasure. It's been a good time.
Good. I'll tell you what, I do have one more question before I let you go. And I like to ask this of everybody on the back end of every podcast. It's a little piece of advice. If you could pass a piece of advice on to everybody out there that's either A, doing the job, B, that wants to get into it, what would you tell them?
I've really got a couple of things that I would advise people to do. I wish I would have started a journal or some kind of log when I first got on the team. I really wish I'd have made note of the call outs, and of course you got to be careful of the HIPAA stuff or whatever, but I wish I'd have made note of the call out, the location, what it was about, that kind of stuff, just to have something to look back on, to know how many missions I'd ever been on. Would be neat to have. And now when I help with the orientation of our new guys, I do always recommend that they, I don't know if anybody ever has, but I recommend that they do that. And definitely, master your craft. When people call us, it's the worst day of their lives. Like nobody calls an ambulance or search and rescue just for fun,
Right.
So they expect a bunch of ninja brain surgeons to show up. So be that ninja brain surgeon, master your craft as much as you can. Take advantage of all the training you can, and it's kind of hard. Fire, it's a lot easier. There's more money and more training available. Search and rescue is not as easy. We don't have the grants and that kind of stuff that's available, but there's all kinds of stuff online, and take any kind of hands-on stuff you can get your hands on. Really when you're on a mission and nothing adds up, don't give up. We've been in a few of those situations to where it just didn't make any sense. And it was easy for us to pass it off as well. Maybe they got picked up, maybe they got a ride, maybe they walked out or whatever. But don't give up. The family needs that closure. You need that closure. Give it everything you've got for sure.
That's some great advice right there, my friend. For sure.
And then so really probably the last thing I would say is just, just be kind.
Oh, amen.
We had a situation. So we were for one of our search and rescue trainings, we were doing it was kind of a mental health debrief. One of our team members was teaching, and he had recounted a couple of stories and experiences of his own of people, or calls that he'd been on of people that had committed suicide and that kind of stuff. So as he finished up his presentation, there was some group discussion. One of my really good friends, I'd consider him like one of my 3 a.m. friends. You got your 6 p.m. friends and your 3 a.m. friends. You know what I'm talking about. The guy, you can call it 3 a.m. in the morning, and it doesn't matter what you need. You can hear him getting dressed in the background because he assumes that you're burying a body or whatever, and it doesn't matter. He's going to help you no matter what. So he happened to pipe up, and he's been a guy that's worked out of town. There's a lot of times that we would talk on the telephone as he was driving home, and just talking about whatever. Sometimes it was search and rescue related. Sometimes it was just bullshit, But I found out that that's how he was managing some of the stuff that he was going through, and I had no idea. Like I just thought we were bullshit, But it turns out those long conversations that we had on the telephone, was his therapy, basically. So I definitely appreciate being a part of that. I had no idea at the time. That's why I say you never have any idea what somebody's going through. So just be kind.
Yeah.
You never know when you're that person to somebody that needs somebody to talk to or anything else.
Sometimes you just need somebody to listen.
Yeah, for sure. So I was very grateful to, I don't know, like I said, I never knew. I had no idea that's why he was calling me. Like I said, we're friends, we're really good friends, and just always assumed that, we're just talking because we're friends. But
do you get to call him and talk to him?
Absolutely.
And unload on him? Oh, good.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways.
That's
and that's been an eye opener for me, because like I said, until then I had no idea, and I hadn't even thought about that, and so it really has caused me to be a little bit more patient and, with people, just because you don't know, maybe that one phone call from that guy that maybe it's not your best friend that, kind of bugs you, maybe that's him reaching out, and you just don't know, take some time and, just be kind.
Man, that is, there's so much in that. My wife says it all the time too. Just be kind. That's it.
But there's so much shit in the world today, just the hatred and everything else that, and that's really where I feel like, I don't know, I so much enjoy the EMS and the like the patient care side of that, is because I feel like I can bring, a calm to the storm. I can talk to people, I can hopefully make them feel better, and, just be that. Well, there's a saying that people always remember, or people will never remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I've always just hoped that, I could hopefully, make them feel a little bit better.
Man, you are. Did you talk to my wife prior to coming on and talking to me today? Because I swear to God, she says the exact same thing about all of her kids. She's a teacher, and she will say, kids don't remember anything I say, but they remember how you feel. And I was like, man, that is a great piece of advice as well. Are you sure you didn't call her prior to coming on with me?
No.
Okay.
I never met her.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Nate. Come on, man. Oh, Nate, thank you so much for coming on and joining me today. These were incredible stories from what you guys do out there. 27 years of doing search and rescue. How much longer you got?
I plan on dying in this organization. So.
You and me both. I'll be right there with you. I promise.
If I've got to go out before I'm old and gray, I hope to be some other first responders PTSD. I don't know. We'll see how that plans out. Go out with a bang.
That's kind of funny.
I really enjoy it. I've kind of more transitioned. I have a hard time because I really, I really enjoy being in the field. I really enjoy pounding the ground and following the footprints and whatever else. But, I have kind of transitioned into more of a teacher and a trainer, and more kind of into the admin command staff and stuff. But yeah, if I could do this for a full-time job, I'd drop in a second and I'd retire doing it.
I don't blame you. That makes two of us. I'm gonna go until I can't go anymore. So that's my plan.
I'm a life member now, so they can't boot me out. So.
Oh, that's great.
It's been neat because my oldest son just joined the team, a year and a half ago now, and so it's been fun for him fun for me to watch him start to develop the same friendships and relationships and things that I've had, with the same group of people, and it's been neat to watch him get involved with it as well.
Oh, that's incredible. That's fantastic. Okay. You know what? I'm keeping your number so that like when he's in your shoes, then he can come back on here and tell his story.
Another
right?
25 years, then he'll be on for 27, and you can interview him.
You know what? I'm still going to be around. That's my plan. I'm just going to keep this going. So yeah, I'll wait for him.
Perfect.
Oh, Nate, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. When I come out there, I got to come to, I got to get everywhere, but one day I'm coming out to your area, and maybe it'll be when you burn down another house, and I'll come learn how to be a firefighter with you. All right.
Awesome.
Right.
I like it.
And then maybe we can kick back a beer too while we're there. I'm sure you got some local stuff that's pretty good there.
Well, I don't drink alcohol, but we could kick something back for sure.
All right. We're going to a good coffee shop. I like that too.
Perfect.
Right on, man. All right. Well, I will catch you later. Thank you again, my friend.
Yep. You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.
Go.
Now it's time for me to pull chocks and take off. But before I go, I'm always looking for the memorable rescues that people have done. If you have one that you're willing to share or know somebody who has a story, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to highlight it here at the Real ResQ. For everybody that is standing by for that SAR alarm, remember, those in distress are praying for a miracle. They are going to get you. So until next time, fly safe and swim hard. Thank you for joining me today here at the Real ResQ Podcast, powered by Vertical Helicast. We'd also like to say thank you to our sponsors for this episode.
Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information. Switlick. No mission is the same. Why should your suit be? Introducing a new custom dry suit experience. Choose your fabric, colors, neck and wrist seals, zippers, pockets, collars, and so much more. Intelligent measuring prompts ensure the most tailored fit. Brought to you by Switlick Survival Products. For more information, visit us at www.switlick.com.
And
Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory, globally 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
the last question is the funniest training moment that you've ever had.
All right. So I told you I have 2 artificial legs, right? So my right leg, I have basically my full femur. So I have an artificial knee and stuff. My left leg, I have just above my ankle, but I just have my tibia. So as I was doing the certification test for my rope rescue technician, we were doing it. Most of these tests, you just kind of have to use whatever facilities you can find. So we were using the inside of another department's fire station. The skill that I needed to perform was a patient pickoff. So they had kind of a storage room with an area that you can get up on top of. And so they had the patient positioned partway from the top of the storage room down to the ground. So I needed to just tie into the system, just rappel, just like 2 feet is all, down to him, hook him into me, take him off his line, and just lower us to the ground. And so there's a little bit of a pony wall going from like the floor, the roof of the storage room. And so as I kneeled down on that, my left leg loosened up just a little bit. And all it would have taken is for me to just step down on it, and it would have tightened back up. So if I would have done a true rappel and actually, put my feet down, it would have tightened back up and would have been fine. Normally, so my prosthetics, there's a hard piece that's called a socket that my flesh leg goes into. And then there's it's called a suspension sleeve that basically like couples the hard part to my flesh. So it pulls up like a knee brace. Normally I duct tape those to my prosthetic, to my artificial leg. In this situation, I just put a new one on, and I don't know if maybe I was out of duct tape or whatever. It's normally fine without it, but it can loosen up a little bit. Is why I duct tape them. So no duct tape on the suspension sleeve. So I kneel down to transition over this edge, and my socket loosens up just a little bit on my leg. And so rather than putting my feet down, I'm only going down such a short distance that I just kind of use my knees and just slide down the wall a little bit so I can hook up to him. And no shit if my leg doesn't fall right out of my freaking pant leg. So my left leg fell off and fell onto the ground like ching, 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 ching off away from me. And so the test proctor and the other guy were standing there with eyes that big as you can imagine because my leg just fell off. Like they had no idea. So I finished the task. I rappelled down to the patient. I hooked him up. I lowered both of us down to the ground and passed the test. But then they had to bring my leg back over to me.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that can claim an accident like that. But
Oh, Nate, I'm so glad you shared that with me. Thank you.
But so I don't know, and maybe it's because they were traumatized or whatnot, but they had a whole group of people they needed to teach, and it was originally supposed to be everybody tested individually. I was the first one to go. I was the only one that was tested individually. After my experience, they've tested everybody else as a group. So I earned that certification by doing it all by myself and having my leg fall off. So I wear it proudly.
Oh man, that's awesome.